Everybody's just in the market, jostling, like you said, for their own piece of cloth.
Everybody's fighting for his own shirt. You expect Shell to sell. They've lost quite a long time of oil production. We're just getting back to 2 million barrels per day. They need to cover for the period in which we were down as low as 600, 700,000 barrels per day. And that was a time when oil prices went blistering down as well. So these oil companies are not just going to make few dollars out of the operations they've had in Nigeria and just sell it to us and collect naira. Again, look at how the economy had been. They need to be forward-looking. They need new investments. Okay, they need to pump money back into the investment. They're not sure when the militants will get tired of being peaceful and perhaps they start all over again. Now they've had so much damage in pipelines, in oil export facilities, in focados and whatever, that Shell and the rest and the other have had spent millions of dollars that haven't been disclosed in repairing those export facilities, undersea cable and things, undersea export facilities, what you call subsea oil pipe heads. This cost them money. Where are they going to get it from? So don't think they're going to just go to sell, oh, okay, oil is $52 a barrel. Oh, let's just sell it to NNPC or sell it to the central bank, collect naira and keep it. They're looking at the value, time value of money as well. So it's not as easy to say, oh, central bank is still the main player in the market. Who else has money? Nobody has it.
But then, you see, as much as we look at the global scale of things, it has a direct relation to how much we'll be having in our external reserves. The central bank continues to intervene in the market and has promised, given the assurance that it is determined that that will not change anytime soon. So there's a forecast that maybe external reserves could drop to as low as $29 billion as the Central Bank of Nigeria continues to try to defend the naira, and that might also put pressure on the naira as well. Well,
you use what you have to get what you want. And sometimes you use what you don't have to get what you want. It's a very delicate balancing. It's a tightrope the central bank is walking. It's a tightrope the entire Buhari's administration is walking. And that's the reason why the speed at which the fiscal authorities implement the economic recovery growth plan and the ease of doing business, in particular, the ease of doing business.
That's got a couple of more days
The ERGP is a bit like it's not a fast food. The EIGP is not a fast food. The fast food is the ease of doing business, in which we can think with a few things we're doing in terms of reducing, setting up businesses, getting licenses, getting permits, immigration issues, getting your status as a foreign worker in Nigeria, and what have you, remove corruption, bottlenecks, and other things around that, so that it becomes very easy for those who are already doing business in Nigeria to bring in more money, those who are already established in the country, to bring in more foreign inflows and expand the business they are doing. So we need to fix that very quickly. While we try to fix the long end of the curve, which is the ERGP, which is a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year down the line. So where the hit really is on the government is to quickly ease doing business. And that will help those who are waiting on the outside to say, look, I have a business doing in Nigeria, I'm doing business, or I have partners in Nigeria, I need to bring an additional $100 million or $1 billion, but hold on a second, I can't bring it in because of these bottlenecks. So the federal government needs to meet the central bank halfway and very quickly to ensure that the ability of the government of Nigeria to generate more income. Look at the number of agricultural products that are banned in Europe because of a number of issues we have with quality, and quantity, and what have you. These are issues that we need to resolve. We've had our beans banned in Europe for how many months? For a year, perhaps more. Now, what are we losing there? Foreign exchange, isn't it? Inflows. So you don't blame the central bank. The central bank won't let the roof cave in. So what they're trying to do is to prop it up with the little inflows that is coming in from oil side of things. Now, whether it is NEPC, the Export Promotion Council, or the Ministry of Trade and Investment, or what have you, they need to move on quickly to help before the central bank gets too weak and the roof actually caving all over again. So the central bank needs all the help it can get, in particular from the fiscal side of things. So I think sometimes I feel pity for the central bank. We say, oh, he's the only one selling in the market. Who else has money?
Yeah, and then I remember sometimes...
Unless you're going to say, okay, fine, the domiciliary account, you have billions of dollars there. Maybe you need to find a way to get that money out.
But then you see, those who operate domiciliary accounts operate it for a business. So you don't really have so many private investors, and, you know, quote me if I'm wrong, although that could also be debated, having, you know, so many dom accounts. But you have most people who have to do transactions outside of Nigeria having dom accounts because they need to finance that account to do their businesses. But that aside, we also have a situation where the central bank has promised that this week it will intervene very strongly in the market. And we've talked about the short-term, the short-tenured forwards and the rest of it. But over the weekend on social media, on Twitter in particular, somebody was complaining that, yeah, you put it out, about how outsourcing everything. We outsource our food, outsource our education. Why don't we just basically outsource everything literally that we do? And somebody had a rejoinder that because we're lazy. And I don't think so. We are what we make ourselves to be. If we decide that we want to be more dollar-denominated or foreign exchange-denominated economy, then so be it. And that's how we're going to operate.
Well, we need to look at, yes, you can't stop people from buying a nice shirt and a nice tie from overseas if they earn the money they've got to. But however, the structure of the economy we run, we all go back to the big brother, which is the central bank, alias Federal Government of Nigeria. And that's where we are. The cost of governance is still very high. We need to transit very quickly from a government-led economy to a private sector-led economy. And there's quite a lot of work to be done. Why we find ourselves in this quagmire, basically, is because the economy is run basically by it's a civil service economy. Our budget is basically civil service economy, a civil service budget oriented, because you're going to take so much money from the rest of us and pay so much salaries and allowances and pension liabilities and what have you. Look at the arrears that was paid last week by the Ministry of Finance, almost 60 billion that were paid to PENCOM. Now, imagine if you put 60 billion into the private sector of the economy. Imagine what that will be. Now, if you put in 60 billion in pension arrears out there, you look at what is the civil service generating as a percentage of the GDP. So we need to find ways to transit from a public sector-led economy to a private sector-led economy, and that is what the ERGP is all about. But as I said, it's a long walk in the park. It's not fast food. So we need to look for that fast food that is healthy, good enough, that can sustain us to do that transition. Until we get that done, we're going to be flying with one engine, running perfectly well. Well, not really perfectly well. I'm not sure which of the engines is running well, because central bank is not even running really well, as it were, because it's also living on borrowed times. You take FX inflows from here, you sell it over to this way, and try to find
balance.
It's like surfing on the high seas. You know what it's like. It just takes you up and it brings you down, and it depends on the waves. That's what you ride the waves. That's what it calls. You don't determine how you ride. It's the waves that determine what happens to you.
Well, Bosin, thank you so much for starting off the week with us on a very good footing. We'll keep our eye on the developments from the central bank, hoping to sustain and the FX interventions. Well, Business Morning continues in just a moment. We're going back to the markets in just a bit. Stay with us.